wrapped in wax paper. "You'd best eat up. We'll be doing a lot of walking today. Bill doesn't believe in driving around to view the animals, then shooting them from the comfort of the pickup." "He's planning on shooting game?" Cecily asked. She had seen the large rifles being unloaded, but had thought they were for protection. "What else are we going to eat for supper?" Catherine chuckled. "Here, have some tea. It'll keep you cool." Cecily accepted the flask of hot, strong black tea, laced with sugar, and felt her nervous stomach begin to calm. "Oh, and if you're concerned about the facilities," Catherine whispered to her, "simply do your business behind a bush. No one will look. Just don't pull up any rocks. You never know if a snake or a scorpion is having a nap underneath them." Catherine patted her knee and stood up to help Bobby, while Cecily sat frozen with apprehension. After the camp was set up and everyone had eaten, Bill and Naigassi led the march into the bush, with the 2 other Maasai men bringing up the rear. Cecily walked closely beside Catherine and Bobby and listened as they regaled her with stories of previous safaris. "I once heard that Lord Delamere tracked a bull elephant for a whole 7 days," Bobby commented. "He was absolutely determined to get the bugger. The tusks are still hanging up at Soisambu. I've never seen such big ones." Behind them, the other 2 Maasai conversed softly in their own language, and Cecily found their presence reassuring. It was now well past midday, and the sun hung high in the sky. As she looked up, she saw the shadows of vultures circling above. A soft breeze rustled through the grasses, bringing with it the humming of insects and the occasional grunts of wildebeest. Catherine pointed to their right, where a dozen zebras were standing together in the shade of some acacia trees. Cecily took out her camera and snapped as many shots as she could, only hoping that the photographs would do this incredible place justice. Eventually, when Cecily wondered if she could walk another step in the heavy boots, Bill gestured for the women to squat in the long grass as he indicated a large watering hole 100 yards or so away. He, Bobby and Naigassi crept forward, Naigassi gripping his spear lightly, while Bill and Bobby carried their heavy rifles over their shoulders. The watering hole was densely packed with wildlife, but Cecily watched as Bill pointed out a herd of large, striped animals, some sporting majestic, twisted horns. "Kudu," Catherine whispered to her. Cecily watched Bill cock the gun and look through the sight. A heartbeat later, a loud shot rang out. Startled birds took to the air, and the animals around the watering hole bolted for safety. Cecily could see the slain kudu lying on its side. The 5 men walked towards the kill, Naigassi thumping the ground with his spear to scare off the jackals that were already circling, sniffing at the carcass. Despite herself, Cecily found she couldn't look away as they methodically skinned the animal, which was the size of a horse, then gutted and quartered it. Eventually, the 3 Maasai heaved the large parcels of meat over their shoulders, while Bobby and Bill carried the head between them, its horns the length of an adult's leg. "Clean brain shot," Bobby said with admiration as they arrived beside Cecily and Catherine. "Bill's the best hunter I know. A full-grown kudu. Look at these mighty horns." Now faced with the blood-spattered men and the gamey stench of the kill, Cecily turned away and tried not to vomit. Catherine helped her to her feet, and they all began the long trek back to the campsite, Cecily trying to take discreet gulps of fresh air. "Are you all right?" Catherine asked her. "I will be," she managed. "I've never seen an animal killed before." Catherine nodded sympathetically. "It's quite a shock, I know. As abhorrent as I find shooting for trophies, I believe there is a raw honesty to shooting for sustenance. Every part of that kudu will be used, Cecily. And look behind us." She gestured to where the remains lay by the water's edge. Vultures, jackals, and hyenas were already fighting over the spoils. The cycle of life continues. We are simply taking our place in the food chain. Cecily was about to disagree, but then she remembered that every bite of meat she had ever taken had begun with the process she had just witnessed. So she shut her mouth, humbled by her naivety. The walk back to camp was much slower, and dusk was encroaching when they came upon a herd of elephants about half a mile away in the distance. "I can't believe it," Cecily gulped as she looked through her binoculars and felt a sudden lump in her throat.